of my life to reach the top of the world.
From the very first day at school, teach your child the lesson of saving. Open a Sisu Udana account with People's Bank. Initial deposit given by the bank. Higher interest with more gifts and benefits. Also, My Activity organizers for all kids starting grade 1. Sisu Udana from People's Bank. Give your child the strength to succeed.
In a few moments, the news.
Sisu Udana from People's Bank. Give your child the strength to succeed.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(6:15). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. Minister of Power and Energy says no choice but to register consumers at filling stations and give weekly fuel quota. The Consumer Affairs Authority has stepped up raids to nab the errant traders who hide fuel products and sell at higher prices to the general public. State Posun Festival in Anuradhapura. 173 prisoners to be released on Posun Day. May 9th unrest, over 1,000 suspects still in remand custody. The director of Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital says there is 90% of the essential drugs and medicines available in the hospital. News overseas, climate change a bigger threat than war. Fiji tells Security Summit. Sri Lanka versus Australia test in Galle to be dedicated to legendary bowler Shane Warne. And those are the headlines. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government plans to purchase fuel products from Russia. An agreement will be signed in future in this regard. The main objective of this process is to purchase oil products at a lower price so that the country could maintain the oil prices at a controlled price. The Consumer Affairs Authority has stepped up raids to nab the errant traders who hide fuel products and sell at high prices to the general public. Stern legal action will be taken against these errant traders, the CAA said. The Consumer Affairs Authority has deployed officers island-wide to nab these traders. Meanwhile, the Consumer Affairs Authority is carrying out operations to nab the traders who sell the rice and paddy at higher prices than the government-controlled prices. The CAA has released a gazette notification mentioning the control prices for some essential commodities including rice and paddy. The traders who sell at a high price will be dealt with. Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara says that they have no choice but to register consumers at filling stations and to give them a guaranteed weekly quota until the government is able to strengthen the financial situation, restore 24-hour power supply and a steady supply of fuel. The minister stated that he hopes to have the system in place by the first week of July. Until we have uninterrupted power supply and steady fuel supply, fuel line management will be impossible, Wijesekara said in a Twitter message on Sunday, that's today. He stated that the financial restrictions the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation CPC imports fuel to manage for a week. However, some consumers collect fuel for a month or more for their machinery and generators. He said 24-hour power supply costs an additional $100 million monthly for diesel, furnace oil and naphtha, and that the shortage in LP gas supply has increased the demand for electricity and kerosene. The minister said that the country's monthly fuel bill, which was at $200 million for 4 months ago, is currently at $550 million. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sisu Udana from People's Bank. Give your child the strength to succeed.
The Ministry of Justice, Prison Affairs and the Constitutional Reform says that a total of 173 prisoners are expected to be released on the occasion of Posun Full Moon Poya Day. The prisoners will be released under a special amnesty on the recommendation of the Ministry of Justice, Prison Affairs and constitutional reforms, Dr. Vijayadas Rajapaksa. Accordingly, steps have been taken to release 141 detainees due to the abolition of their fines and another 32 detainees due to the reduction of the 14 days. The highest number of 23 inmates are to be released from Velikada prison, while inmates from Kuruvita, Mahara, Nigambu, Veeravilla, Variyapola, Bogambara, Anuradhapura, Kalutara, Colombo Magazine Prison, Taldena, Wataraka, Badulla, Mathara and Angunakona Palasa prisons are able to be released. Around 2,725 individuals have been arrested until this morning in connection with various charges following the violent incidents that have taken place across the country since May 9th. Police said 21 have been arrested within the last 24 hours ended this morning. They said 857 incidents were reported to the police stations and 1,083 out of those 2,725 arrested were remanded for having involved in those violent incidents. The Anuradhapura Atamasthana in Mihintale and Tantirimale centric 2330th State Posun Festival will be celebrated this year in a simple manner due to the prevailing situation in the country. Posun Full Moon Day falls on June 14th and Anuradhapura State Posun Celebrations Steering Committee has declared the week between June 11th to 17th as the Posun Religious Week. A special steering committee meeting presided by Atamasthanathipati Venerable Pallegama Srinivasa Nayaka Thera with the chief incumbents of the other Buddhist shrines at the Anuradhapura Kacheri recently. Anuradhapura government agent Chanaka Jayasundara said that without depending on government and private sector funds, the 2022 Posun Festival would be limited mainly to the major Posun religious rituals at the Anuradhapura, Mihintale and Tantirimale sacred cities. And that's local news.
From the very first day at school, teach your child the lesson of saving. Open a Sisudana account with People's Bank. My activity organizers for all kids starting grade 1.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalopa Vedamahatma.
Director of Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital Specialist Dr. P. Vijayasuriya said there is 90% of the essential drugs and medicines available in the hospital. There is no shortage for the drugs in the hospital, Dr. Vijayasuriya said. The medicines are supplied to the respective wards without any interruption. And that came to you in top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalopa Vedamahatma.
In Washlight, National Dengue Control Unit Director Dr. Sudat Samaravira yesterday said that 83 medical officer of health divisions in 16 districts have been declared 83 medical officers of health divisions in 16 districts have been declared as dengue high-risk zones as the number of dengue cases have seen an unprecedented increase. He said the Colombo district has been declared as a high-risk district and 18 emerged divisions in the district have also been declared as high-risk zones due to higher prevalence of dengue cases. And that came to you in Watchlight. And moving on to world news. Climate change a bigger threat than war, Fiji tells Security Summit. March for our lives. Tens of thousands rally for stricter US gun laws. Australia to pay €555 million settlement to French firm. And those are the headlines of the world news. Fiji has told an Asian Security Summit that climate change is a bigger threat to the Pacific than military tensions. Machine guns, fighter jets are not our primary security concern. The single greatest threat to our very existence is climate change, Fiji Defence Minister Inia Seruritaru said. He was addressing a summit in Singapore which has focused on China-US tensions and the Ukraine-Russia war. Tens of thousands of protesters have rallied across the US to call for stricter gun laws in the wake of 2 mass shootings. Those taking part at the hundreds of marches carried slogans like, "I want freedom from getting shot." US President Joe Biden backed the protests, calling on Congress to pass common-sense gun safety legislation. Australia has announced a €555 million settlement with France's naval group as compensation for scrapping a submarine contract with Paris. Australia angered France last year by suddenly cancelling a €35 billion deal to build a fleet of submarines. Instead, it chose to build nuclear-powered submarines with US and UK technology. And that was world news. And moving on to development news, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa stated that new approaches should be found to attract tourists. The President made these remarks at a progress review meeting of the Ministry of Tourism held at the President's House, Fort, recently. More than 4 million people are directly or indirectly involved in the tourism industry. The tourism industry, which has been crippled by Easter Sunday attack and the COVID-19 epidemic, was on the edge of recovery but was reeling from the crisis. President Rajapaksa said that the tourism sector needs to be rapidly uplifted as it is an important sector that affects the national economy as well as the job security of the large number of people. And that came to you in development news. Up next is sports.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Sri Lanka Cricket, together with the Tourism and Sports Ministries, have made arrangements to host the test match between Sri Lanka and Australia in Galle to be dedicated to the legendary bowler Shane Warne. Tourism Minister Harin Fernando said CEO of the Australian Cricket has confirmed that Shane Warne's family members will be attending the match. The first test match between Sri Lanka and Australia will be played from 29 June to July 3rd at the Galle International Stadium. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Ultra Aluminium Private Limited recently unveiled its latest BOI-approved factory in Ariampati, Batticaloa, which manufactures and import a substitute known as aluminium extrusion profiles and thereby saving a significant dollar flow going out of the country. And this also sets the tone to create jobs and generate income for the people in the Eastern Province and the country as well. And that came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
In economic news, private sector credit improved by 478 billion rupees in March 2022, sustaining the positive growth momentum for the 20th consecutive month, First Capital Research said. And that was economic news. And moving on to weather report, the Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in western, Sabarakamu and northwestern provinces and in Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in Uva province and in Batticaloa and Ampara districts during the afternoon or night. Fairly strong winds, about 40 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in Trincomalee and Hambantota district. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. This weather report was published this evening at 5:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. To wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. Minister of Power and Energy says no choice but to register consumers at filling stations and give weekly fuel quota. The Consumer Affairs Authority has stepped up raids to nab the errant traders who hide fuel products and sell at a higher price to the general public. State Posun Festival in Anuradhapura. 173 prisoners to be released on Posun Poya. May 9th unrest, over 1,000 suspects still in remand custody. The director of the Lady Ridgeway Children's Hospital says there is 90% of the essential drugs and medicines available in the hospital. And with that, we conclude this evening news broadcast of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.